how do you support, and then you have said you have done this journey a few times, how do you support people to grow as leaders, to develop as leaders, when it's not just more responsibility, but it's also the kind of leadership which will change, right? So how do you support these 10 to 15 people so that they can take the organization to the next level, and you can maybe take a step back and focus on the big picture?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably two elements to that. I think leadership, the one thing I always try to stay away from is people's leadership style. And what I mean by that is everybody is a unique leader and has their own skill set when it comes to leadership. And yes, there are things that you can improve on and you can message differently, etc. But for me, the 14, 15 that we have here, which are going to lead to 200-300 people in the future, I don't really want to touch too much what makes them unique as a leader. And also there's going to be something around the journey that they land. And even me, like where I'm at right now, I don't get every single conversation, I don't get every single leadership aspect correct. You're always learning. But there's this uniqueness that I like in leaders, in ensuring that they grow within that organically. I think the part that I probably add most value is around the academic, the more theoretical side of things. So for example, if you're looking at a CFO, we've got somebody in an organization today who is a kind of director of finance, and the idea is for him to be our next CFO. And you sit there and think, where's his skill set? Great natural leader, so comfortable there, has all the core stuff that it takes to be a really good CFO, producing P&Ls, budgets, and all the rest of it. But then the third aspect is being exposed to the fundraising room. How do you go in there? How do you fundraise? How do you manage those rooms? All that. And that just comes with being exposed, and that just comes with experience. And my job as a leader is to understand that and say, how do I expose him? How do I take him to those environments? How do I get him comfortable? How do I feedback in those environments? So for me, when I look at it and I think about all these leaders, I would proactively sit there and think, okay, this person naturally will be our next CFO. Yeah, how can I support in that? This person will be our next marketing director. How do I support in that, et cetera, et cetera. And I try and do it more from what are their skill gaps? Now, with all of my leaders, I always have regular one-to-ones. We talk 50 minutes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes on the business stuff. And then we spend the last part of it around them as individuals and where I think we can support. And I think the one thing that always gets lost, particularly in hyper-growth businesses, but I think in a lot of businesses, I'm also involved in the corporate world, and I see this in the corporate world too, but I think a lot of things which are lost are that focus in your own development. Yeah. And your own development usually is identified by both of you. It's a consensual thing where you as a leader of the organization would say, hey, I think this is it. The other person will come back and say, this is what I mean. And then you both agree that this is what you're going to work towards, and you both commit to it, pen to paper, and achieve on it. So I think a lot of mine will be trying to identify where I think the gap is, and then also working with them to say, what do you think the gap is? If I missed that.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful piece that a lot of leaders miss, that the personal development part and the growth, and also keeping, right, as a CEO, your eyes and ears open for like a role which might appear next year. Who would be the right candidate? How can I groom them?